One person has been confirmed dead in renewed chieftaincy clashes in the Upper East regional capital at Bolgatanga. 8 others are said to have been injured during sporadic shooting after a clash occurred at a funeral in the suburb of Bukere, where 2 rival royal gates met Sunday afternoon. The 2 royal gates have been at loggerheads over who should succeed the deceased paramount chief of the Bolgatanga traditional area, Naba Martin Abilba III. Last year, each gate elected one of their own as paramount chief, which led to clashes on several locations, forcing the security agencies to deploy a team of military and police personnel to the area. Upper East Regional Police Commander DCOP Simon Ya Afeku confirmed at a news briefing on Monday afternoon that the deceased died while on admission at the Bolgatanga hospital. We're trying to get you the report or the soundbite from the police, regional police commander. But the Upper East Regional Minister Albert Abongo is joining us over the telephone line for the very latest on this matter. Good evening to you, Mr. Abongo.
Good evening.
All right, so what can you tell us about the situation in the area? First of all, what prompted these latest clashes?
Well, thank you very much. It was yesterday in the afternoon that I received a report that the feuding factions met at the funeral ground, and there was some exchanges, and we had to ask for the security to move it. Our funerals involve families, and my information is that they are related to the house where the funeral was taking place. The feuding factions belong to the same family anyway. So I think on meeting there, there were the exchanges that resulted in the fight, and there was some exchange of gunfire, and so we had to call the security to come in to possess the situation.
All right. What's the situation in the town right now?
Well, the town is calm. We had to get the security to carry out some operations to see if people were hoarding arms in their homes. Well, they did that. I understand they were able to retrieve some cartridges, but not any arms. So the situation is calm. People are thinking that we were imposing a curfew, but there's no curfew in place. And so I've asked that they announce on the local radio that we were not imposing anything. But the situation is calm. Those who got hurt, some of them are receiving treatment in a hospital. Unfortunately, one life is lost after the incident at the main ground yesterday. This person was apprehended by one of the factions at an isolated place, and he was beaten mercilessly, and he was carried unconscious to the hospital, and he passed away. But so far, those who got hurt are receiving treatment, and they are out of danger.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Albert Abongo. Albert Abongo is the Upper East Regional Minister. Now, well, let's get to hear from the Regional Commander, Regional Police Commander DCOP Yafe, who has been speaking to the media earlier in the day. All right, we do not have that tape, so we're moving on to some other stories. Now, there was further agitation at the Kolibu Teaching Hospital on Monday over the interdiction of the president of the Senior Staff Association, Charles Ofer Palm. A section of the staff picketed to demand his reinstatement, describing the action of the management as unwarranted. Charles Ofer Palm himself is accusing the chief executive officer of the facility of being behind his interdiction, which he describes as a deliberate attempt to intimidate him for being outspoken.
Charles Ofe Palm accused the CEO of Kolebu, Dr. Gilbert Buckle, of victimizing him for several reasons.
You said there's no money in Kolebu, so we should all take NFR benefits. We should all take 100 Ghana cedis. And then you pocket 7,000. When we raise, you go and pay back that I didn't know. Who are you deceiving? Yourself. We have raised, because of what we said, today a lot of the accountable interest have been paid back. Because we've raised those issues in the media. So he has gone to pay back all those monies. No, they didn't collect interest. We said it in December that if we don't take this man out, the way it's going, we are going to collapse the hospital. 3 months on, what do we see? IC, is it working?
No!
CSS, is it working?
No!
Is it working?
No!
Orthopedic theater, is it working?
No!
Oxygen, gas mask, is it working?
No!
So am I telling lies?
No!
Who are you deceiving?
Yourself.
Who are we deceiving? Common basic instruments, we don't have them.
Sometimes
I don't want to exercise.
thermometer,
Look at this. People are just dying. And we see them dying. And the money that is supposed to be used to take care, to revive them, they are using those money to do other things.
Meanwhile, senior staff of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital are demanding a reversal of their president's interdiction. The staff have given management of the facility a 48-hour ultimatum to reverse the decision or risk repercussions. General Secretary of Kolebu Senior Staff Association, James Oblite, spells out their demands.
We are just giving them 1 minute more for the Director of Administration to come and receive the letter. We are mindful of our clients. They have traveled all the way from their various homes to seek Medicare this morning. We don't want a situation whereby all of us will leave our offices or our department and works and to be part and present this letter. That is why we want only few people to accompany us to present this letter. But failure to do so, then they will see the massive number of COSA. That if COSA will decide, by the grace of God, it shall come to pass.
According to him, Monday's demonstration is to present another letter to management over the matter. But the management of the hospital claims Dr. Ofe failed to seek approval for the said interview and made false claims. The Deputy Director of Administration, Kambarin Kombien, assured the aggrieved staff that something will be done about their concerns.
On behalf of management, receive these letters. In as much as I can assure you that something will surely be done about it. Please, I can't assist to your 48-hour directive you are giving, because the meeting might have to be held to come on what decision has to be taken forward. So please, let's jaw for a while. But we quite appreciate your concern. However, we want to appeal to everybody here to go back to work while we are there to it.
Arise! Arise!
All right, we're taking a break on Joy News Prime now, but we have a lot more stories coming up. Of course, we have the second Deputy Governor, Dr. Nasiru Isahaku, being appointed as Governor of the Bank of Ghana. We'll be hearing who he is and what he's bringing to the table. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a bit. You're watching Joy News Prime. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has appointed Dr. Abdul Nasiru Isahaku as the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. His appointment follows a decision by Dr. Kofi Wampa to take an early retirement 4 months before the end of his term on August 5, 2016. Dr. Isahaku, the second Deputy Governor, holds a Master's in Agri-Economics and a PhD in Political Science from the University of Georgia. He worked as a governance expert at the State University of New York Center for International Studies. He was also at the African Development Bank and headed ADIF. And I have here with me George Rafi, who is with Joy Business, and he's going to be telling us a lot more. Indeed, he has been interacting with the officials of the Bank of Ghana for several years, and he's personal friend to governors. And good evening to you, George.
Good evening.
What can you tell us about the new governor?
Well, in terms of personality, he comes across as a very calm person. He comes across as somebody who appreciates his job or understands his job and stands his ground when it comes to arguing in support of what he believes should be done or what the Bank of Ghana has done with respect to the several policies that they've put in place. So he's a very calm person in terms of the persona, and he comes across engaging some staff of the bank as some people that, a person that they really love to work with in Israel.
Right. So initially there were talks, names started popping up as to who was going to succeed Governor Wampa. Now, the first name that came up was Melising Na, because he was the first deputy governor, and indeed he was appointed. In fact, he was acting.
He acted for just about two days, and then shortest governor in a long while in terms of acting capacity.
And then the announcement came that Isahaku is the new governor. So, why was it not Melising Na?
Well, again, we're pushing her to get a pick in the president's brain, if I could put that in quote. And what we understood was that, Melissa Na, all other things being equal, should be resigning by next year. And therefore, it wasn't someone that would be on the table. But again, we got the understanding that Isahaku would be the person. And all along, he's been the person. And even when you draw the scale of preference, Isahaku has always been on top, as in he going to succeed Dr. Wampa as the next governor. There were names like Mona Kote also on top. We don't know whether she's going to come in as second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, because the government wants to have a full team in place to help manage the monetary space as well. So it was expected. Right. Anybody who was following development of the bank knew that it is either Isahaku or Mona Kote.
All right, so you're talking about the fact that mentioning Mona Kote as second deputy governor,
we don't know. Those are speculations.
It just brings up the fact that the President Mahama would also have to now appoint 2 deputy governors.
Yes, you're right on that one. So,
indeed.
Melissa Na, who will be confirmed, first deputy and then a second deputy to come in as a second deputy governor.
I'm talking about the fact that, if
you have a substantive governor.
If Melissa Na will be retiring, we're told
that's
actually...
next year.
Is it next year or before the end of the year?
Next year. The contractual tenure sometimes is quite funny, but what we understand or what we are picking up from the Bank of Ghana is that next year is supposed to retire. Whether it's supposed to be the calendar for the tenure might be different. That's from what we know normally in terms of a first year and the second year ending. Don't forget that the governor started his tenure in 2013. Before he could end his tenure, we got the understanding that even when he acted as a governor was counted into his 4-year tenure. That's why he had to go this month in April here. So it's funny how these terms are calculated in terms of being a governor.
Should we expect a shift in policy, or it should be business as usual?
I think that it might be business as usual. It will just be the personality because of the IMF program, Israel. So in terms of broader policies as in what the Bank of Ghana should be doing, nothing much will change. The only difference will be the persona, the approach to issues. Should we go, in terms of the city, should we go with another strategy to try and suck everything out of the system or not? That one, you have the power to do that as a governor of the Bank of Ghana. But in terms of a paradigm shift, in terms of monetary policy approach, we will still be the inflation target. There won't be any difference there.
And are we likely to get results if we're doing things the same way?
Well, no, but don't forget that the issue about confidence works a lot. The concern previously with the manager there was a little bit of skepticism in terms of whether he has what it takes to turn things around. Has Isahaku got that market confidence trick to turn things around? That confidence that will allow those offshore investors to bring in their funds, we wait to see.
All right. Thank you very much, George Rafi. And George Rafi is with Joy Business, and he's been bringing us up to speed as to the appointment of a new governor and the second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. Nasiru Issa Haku has been appointed as successor to the immediate past governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Kofi Wampa. In other news, the new Shai Osudoku District Hospital at Dodowa should be admitting its first set of patients in about 4 to 6 weeks. The district hospital is expected to significantly improve health care for the people of Dodowa and surrounding communities who for a while now have had to rely on an ill-equipped health facility.
The new Shai Osudoku District Hospital forms part of a $175 million agreement between the Ministry of Health and NMC Infrastructure Limited Investment to deliver 6 new district hospitals to raise the standards of health care across the country. The 120-bed facility was commissioned by the President on Monday, but Medical Superintendent Dr. Kennedy Brighton says it will become operational in 6 weeks.
To start with, the place is set, but you see, as usual, there are new equipments, and it's a new facility as well. The system is totally computerized. So what it means is that whatever we're going to do now is more or less like paperlessness. You need to practicalize the knowledge. So what it means is that we are going to have in-house training. We are going to train staff from the old hospital now on the machines they are going to use here. And that should take us about some few weeks to do this.
The Minister of Health, Alex Segbefi, assured his ministry will make available resources needed for training of staff. On maintenance, he said, best practices will be adopted.
I will mention briefly that there is a maintenance and engineering agreement, and the maintenance service will be provided by the main contractor through a 3-year maintenance agreement as part of the contract. Efforts will be made to facilitate technology transfer to in-house technical staff to continue with planned preventive maintenance of the hospital and equipment after the 3 years. There is so much pressure on government resources to the extent that communities that have benefited from the provision of such infrastructure should not expect government to be responsible for its maintenance. To this end, the Ministry of Health is actively seeking best practice in the management of middle levels hospitals with the view of institutional functional management structures for the effective running of the facility right from the onset.
Commissioning the new facility, President John Dramani Mahama assured of more infrastructure works in the health sector.
Our government adopted a policy to build a first-class health facility in every district of our country in order to improve access to health care for our people. As President, today's ceremony and the completion of the Shai Osudoku Hospital reflects an unwavering commitment to my 2012 social contract with the people of Ghana to expand access to quality health care across the length and breadth of our dear country, Ghana. Aside from the Shai Osudoku District Hospital, we have a district hospital coming up at Abetifi. We have another at Fomena. We have another at Sekendi, one at Kumau, and the 6th one at Garu Timpani. And under the program, we are upgrading the facilities in another hospital, and that is the Takrade European Hospital. I'm happy, and the people of Dodowa should be proud, and the team that worked on the Shai Osudoku District Hospital should be proud, because this is the first of the 6 hospitals to be completed.
The 120-bed Shai Osu District Hospital also comes with an accident and emergency wards, an intensive care unit, diagnostics and physiotherapy centers, pediatric units, maternal and dental units, as well as accommodation for the staff. Matilda Pomaga, for Joy News, Dodowa.
Convention, Dr. Edward Mahama has lashed out at the Ghanaian media, saying 99.5% of them are corrupt. He said Ghana is failing in her fight against corruption because the media is corrupt. Dr. Mahama was speaking to journalists after a ceremony at Fumbisi in the Upper East region to formally confirm the sitting MP for Bilsa South, Al-Hassan Azong, as a parliamentary candidate for the third consecutive time on the ticket of the PNC. Upper East correspondent Albert Sore has more.
Al-Hassan Azong won the Bilsa South constituency parliamentary seat in 2008, snatching it from the NDC. He retained the seat in the 2012 elections. Although not a member of the NDC, Azong was appointed Minister of State responsible for public sector reform by late President John Atta Mills in the NDC government from 2009 to 2013. In 2013, he was renominated by President John Mahama to the same position as the Minister of State. Al-Hassan Azong is currently the only PNC MP in Ghana's parliament. On Saturday, he got the nod at a mammoth event at Fumbisi to contest the seat again on the ticket of the PNC in the November elections. In attendance were the party's flag bearer, Dr. Edward Mahama, and National Chairman Bernard Mona. Speaking at the event, Dr. Mahama touted the PNC's chances in this year's elections.
Since 1992, you've been going NDC, MPP, NDC, MPP, NDC, MPP, and you've been going from Wahala to Wahala, Wahala to Wahala. It's time to stop the Wahala.
Speaking later in an interview, Dr. Mahama castigated the Ghanaian media, saying 99.5% of them are corrupt.
The media has become part of the corruption in the system. The corruption now is not left to the politicians, civil servants, public servants, private industry. All of that area, there's corruption. And the media has failed to do what it should do to help us fight the corruption.
Speaking after his confirmation, Member of Parliament for Bilsa South, Al-Hassan Azong, said he is confident of retaining the seat despite the NDC's fielding a strong candidate, Dr. Clement Opat.
I came from third position. That was my first time contesting. Nobody gave me a dog's chance. But the people knows they're able, that's what I'm saying, they're able to know who speaks the truth or who's telling lies. So if I contested when my party was not even in power, 2008, no place third. And I managed to win the seat and retain it with a bigger margin in 2012. Logically, the margin is going to be wider. I'm sure. The margin is going to be wider. I consider the rest, inshallah, they're only participants.
Once again, breaking our business news coming up thereafter. Please don't go away. All right, Emmanuel Wajirafe is here and we'll be talking a bit more about the appointment of the new governor. So now we know the second deputy governor is now the
Dr.
governor.
Abdul Nasiru Isahaku
is
the new governor of the central bank. With coming on with mixed feelings from experts in the industry.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All
I think that he's coming at a more crucial time.
Yeah. You take it away.
All right. So in business, well, so we would like to assess the capabilities of the newly appointed governor of the central bank, Dr. Abdul Nasiru, who is taking on from Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, who announced his early retirement. And we've been joined by a banking consultant, Nana Utu Echampong, to actually tell us or discuss the capabilities of the incoming governor. Good evening, Nana. Good evening, Nana Echampong.
Good evening to you.
Yes. So what do you make of the new governor? I mean, what are his capabilities and how do you expect him to perform?
In terms of capabilities, we don't know much. But what we know and want to see is a substantive governor in place rather than acting to be able to come up with innovative policies to arrest the quagmire that we find ourselves in. So if Dr. Isaac Shaku will be able to deliver, then all the better, because as bankers, what we want is some certainty in the market. And substantive governor will bring that certainty. But we live to see the policies that he'll be able to put in place according to the Bank of Ghana Act that has appointed him.
Now, one of the criticisms leveled against Dr. Wampa is the fact that he bowed under pressure from above. Do you think this incoming governor who served under Dr. Wampa can stand the test of the powers that be?
Unfortunately, we don't know much about him, or personally, I don't know much about him.
Okay.
But what we're looking for is an independent-minded governor who will be able to take decisions and win the arguments, because the whole thing is he will be the head of a board, or he will be answerable to a board who will take collective decisions about the way forward. So if that board, which he will be part, will be able to take decisions that will move the economy from the quagmire that it finds itself in, then we'll all be happier for it.
Okay, so finally,
we don't know.
Finally, before you go, what are some of the key decisions that he is coming on and for which he should take in his first few months or so?
Well, quite a number of initiatives were put in place by Dr. Wampa, such as transforming the economy from dependency on physical cash to electronic. And if we can move that forward, it will help. The regulation of the banks, especially the deposit-taking institutions such as microfinance, the challenges there are also areas that it needs to be looked at. So from a banking perspective, those are the areas that concern us. And then finally, interest rates. So if interest rates can become reasonable for businesses to be able to borrow and create employment, it will help the economy.
All right. Thank you very much, Nana Utoe-Champong, for your time. Nana Utoe-Champong is a banking consultant. Now, away from that, workers of mining firm Goldfields Ghana, who were bound to lose their jobs, can now heave a sigh of relief as the company has shelved the plan, at least for now. The company confirmed this to Joy Business, citing the stability agreement it secured with government some days ago. The agreement would see the firm pay fixed tax and royalty rates over the next 10 years. The group chief executive of Goldfields, Nick Holland, says that this puts them in a better position to maintain the about 1,000 workers who were to be laid off.
Depending on what happened to Damang, there were a couple of thousand people who could be affected. Some of them are workers, some of them are contractors. So clearly, I think with this decision that's come down and with this agreement that we've concluded, it puts us in a good spot now where we can protect jobs and also where we can potentially create jobs. So I think it certainly takes the immediate risk of that kind of issue off the table and puts us in a position where I think we can get a positive outcome for all of the stakeholders.
Meanwhile, the search has begun for interested investors to further develop the $300,000 tented camp at Shire Hills. Goldfields handed over to the Forestry Commission, according to the director for the Shire Hills project, Dr. Gwendolyn Wellman. The initiative is to help the country generate more revenue from tourism activities and various land uses. She spoke with Joy Business during a tour on the campsite.
The tents alone, as they stand with all the things inside, etc., was $300,000 US. What afterwards we spent another maybe $100,000 US, maybe a little bit more on different programs that we were doing that culminated today in handover. As you can see, there's a very high quality furniture and finishings. I know that the tents themselves would be expensive because, you know, you have to treat the floors, the wood, etc., to make them withstand the weather. But the furnishings, if you look, and the bed and all of these, they're very high quality furniture, which is normally very expensive. So over the years, people have shown interest and then they've dwindled. And in the beginning of last year, about March or so, we actually did find an investor who was very, very keen and has the money. But he thought, because it's a nature reserve belonging to the people of Ghana, that it should go through a tender process. And the tender process was then started by the Forestry Commission about June, July, August last year. I think August was the closing date for the tender. And on Wednesday night, at the official handover, Mr. Dati, who is the CEO of the Forestry Commission, announced that in the next 2 to 3 weeks they will announce who the investor, the successful bid was. Of course, we don't know if our investor is the successful bid, but there is an investor who is a successful bid. Our investor still would like to remain anonymous because of the bidding process. And I think initiatives like this can only take off in Ghana. There's no reason why Ghana can't be like East and Southern Africa when it comes to tourism.
Described as illegal, the development agreement granted mining firm Goldfields Ghana by the government of Ghana. Parliament last month passed and signed a development agreement with Goldfields Ghana. This will see the mining giant enjoy tax cuts and downscaling of royalties payments. But according to a civil society organization, the agreement is short of due diligence and lacks transparency. Addressing a press conference in Accra, the coordinator of the Third World Network Africa, Dr. Yao Graham, said the law only allows for future investment of over $500 million to come under the development clause.
We need to know what Goldfields is planning to invest, because you only get a development agreement in respect of prospective investment, not because you've been around so long that it's a kind of pension award. No. Prospective investment. Where is the text and the terms of the $500 million or more investment that Goldfields is going to make, which justifies a development agreement? Because everything that Goldfields officials have said, they have been very clear that they have not made any commitments. They have not made any commitments. I've read a number of things, and it's clear that they have not made any commitments. It's a welcome development they will take into account when they are taking their decision about the future. But they haven't made any commitment. This is what they are saying. Clearly, they are saying something which means that the Ghana government has done something on some assumptions. So we need to know what the terms that justify the development agreement is. 3, we are saying that the fiscal stability terms of the agreement, as published by Goldfields, is illegal, because fiscal stability terms under Section 48.
All right, so still in business, and we've been joined by John Kujamwako, nicely dressed this evening. How are you?
I'm very, very
All right, so how did the market begin today?
Actually, I would say the new central bank boss actually came in with a good comment, because the cedi is gaining against the dollar. The market, as per the Ghana Stock Exchange, not doing that well, but that is really not directly under his purview. So you cannot blame him for whatever happened, but I'm saying he's actually come on a very good note. We saw a total volume of about 241,270 trading today, at a value of 145. That's quite good at beginning. To start a week with, usually Mondays aren't that good on the market, on the exchange. So we've seen that, but still, market capitalization, we keep losing market capitalization over the period. So that's quite significant news that we need to also bear in mind, because the more the market reduces in terms of volume, it makes it unattractive to foreign investors who would want to actually come to the market. So that's exactly how it is. So you can see the financial index moving further away from the positive region. That's what exactly it is. So we've actually made it quite significant here for most of our viewers to also have to take note of that. Apart from that, the market is not really picking up very well. Recovery rate very, very slow. Today we saw only Aluex trading, we saw Aluex making the market, but then it lost 1 pesewa to investors' capital and closed around 0.07, that's 7 pesewas per share. And looking at the commodities, crude still dropping in value after it lost about 91 cents to close the market around 37.77 per barrel. So that's quite another news that you remember I think for the past, 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was $36 when the ministers and then the Energy Commission decided to increase the prices at Expo. Now it's going back to 36, where we were almost about 3 weeks ago. Gold also lost $5.85 to close at 1,216, and then cocoa also lost $10 to close at 2,871. So that's how the market has actually been. But this is my reason for saying that the new governor of the central bank actually came in on a very good note. The CD is actually smiling to the new governor after it actually gained, I think, significantly against the United States dollar, gained against the British pound, gained against the euro, but only lost to the Chinese one and of course the CFA. These are not that much when it comes to the volumes of trade we do in these currencies, but the top three are those that we deal in very much. So I think have fair reason for saying that the governor is actually coming in on a very good note. The point is that we are waiting, or we're hoping that it's going to continue this way under his leadership.
So let's hope that the CD continues to smile to him.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, John Mako. And that's business for now. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi. Good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. The incumbent Member of Parliament for the Clote-Kole constituency, Ni Amashite, has accused Dr. Zaneto Rawlings of running to the Supreme Court in an attempt to buy time to enable her register in the Electoral Commission's upcoming limited voter registration exercise. The Electoral Commission will hold the exercise on the 28th of this month. According to the NDC legislator, the latest move by the party's elected parliamentary nominee, whose eligibility he is challenging, clearly shows that an illegality has been committed. Joy News' Raymond Aqua has more.
Niama Ashite's latest accusations comes on the back of Dr. Zaneto Rawlings' filing of a fresh suit at the Supreme Court last week, seeking a restraining order to stop the judge from hearing a case at the High Court, citing lack of jurisdiction. The Apex Court is set to hear the case on the 26th of April 2016, just 2 days before the EC starts its limited voter registration exercise. Dr. Zaneto Rawlings, before this move, had suffered 2 setbacks in her attempts to have the case brought against her dismissed. Addressing a group of supporters at the Clote-Kole constituency office of the NDC, Niama Ashite said, although he is perturbed by the latest move, he is still confident of victory.
If somebody at this stage, at this stage will come and say that the lower court has no jurisdiction, when we come very far, almost getting to the end, then you ask yourself why? Because this matter have been raised before, and the court has dealt with it. The lower court has dealt with it, that it has jurisdiction.
The argument is that the case may be rendered moot anytime soon, because 28th is when they are starting the registration exercise.
Oh, I don't think it will be mute. I don't think it will be mute. Why will it be mute? I mean, why? I don't think that going to register during the limited registration will cure the defect. It will not cure it, because our own rules, our own NDC rules say that no member of the party shall qualify to contest in any primary for any of the parliamentary seats if that member fails to satisfy the requirement for the election of a member of parliament, as provided on the 94(1)(a) of the Constitution. And that is that you must be a Ghanaian, you must be 21 years, and you must be a registered voter. To contest a primary, you need to be a Ghanaian. You need to be 21 years, and you need to be a registered voter. So I don't think you're going to register during the limit. They will cure the defect, because it's not going. It's a condition precedent.
Police in the Upper West region have arrested 31 illegal miners, including 4 Burkinabes in the Wa West district. The police also retrieved several items, including gold detectors, motorbikes, and a shotgun. Deputy Upper West Regional Police Commander ACP Dr. Shaibu Gariba disclosed that a joint police and military team conducted a swoop in the area following 2 weeks of investigations and surveillance on the suspects. Rafiq Salam reports.
Since the discovery of some gold deposit at Joleiri, Tanangna, Pule, and Ponyantanga, all located in the West district of the Upper West region a couple of weeks ago, over 1,500 illegal miners, including foreigners, have relocated to the communities. Few days after their arrival, the illegal miners went to work by first destroying everything on site, including economic trees like shea and dawadawa. Temporary structures were also constructed as homes and for keeping their valuable items. Worried about the danger the activities of these illegal miners pose for the areas, a joint security task force comprising 100 police personnel and 71 personnel from the urban force of the Ghana Armed Forces raided the site to flush them out. They were led to the site by the Deputy Upper West Commander of the Ghana Police Service, ACP Dr. Shaibu Garba, and the Commanding Officer of the Urban Force in Tamale, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Malik Pulamani. 22 of the illegal miners were arrested, including 4 Burkinabes. Shotguns, electric generators, motorbikes, gold detectors were also seized. Other valuable assets, like the temporary structures, were also destroyed and some burnt into ashes. Deputy Upper West Commander of the Ghana Police Service, ACP Dr. Shaibu Garba, briefing newsmen after the exercise stated that the arrested illegal miners will be thoroughly screened and those found culpable will be prosecuted.
And their equipments for undertaking illegal mining. Some of the suspects you see, some of them are foreigners. And then I think that one, the Ghana Immigration Service will help us to understand it properly. So that is all what I want you to know. When we get to our investigations, when we screen the suspects you see, the 22 people here, the investigation will determine the way forward.
The commanding officer of the urban force, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Malik Pulamani, on his part, stated that despite the success shocked by the team, they were not going to rest on their oars.
The good news is that we have flashed them and will sustain our operations. Now that we know here will be our home.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam, Jole Yiri.
Save Jen. Now, government has disclosed that it reached a confidential agreement with the U.S. government before allowing 2 ex-Guantanamo Bay detainees into the country. It will be recalled that 2 private citizens had sued government at the Supreme Court, asking it to declare as illegal Ghana's decision to accept 2 ex-Guantanamo Bay detainees and eject them from the country. They argue government should have first submitted an agreement on it to Parliament for approval before allowing them in. The Attorney General has filed a statement of defense saying there is an agreement, but it does not fall within the remit of international transactions. That must first be approved by Parliament. Joseph Opoku-Gappo has been studying government statement of defense filed in court and joins me in the studio with more on this. Good evening to you, Joseph. So first, the government is raising the fundamental questions of the authenticity of the documents that the plaintiffs submitted as supporting evidence. Let's first of all start from what these plaintiffs are asking.
Well, a number of things. They think that the government's decision to resettle these former Guantanamo Bay detainees in the country is unconstitutional. They think it's illegal. They think the court should declare it null and void, and the basis is that it didn't go to Parliament for ratification. They are further asking the court to declare that the president acted in excess of his powers in getting them into the country, and they want the court to declare that the president actually breached the Anti-Terrorism Act 2008, which states that no person who has been linked with terrorism should be brought into the country. And they're also claiming that additionally the government also breached the Immigration Act 2000 in allowing them into the country. So they're asking that the plaintiffs are returned to the country. They want the Supreme Court to order government to return the plaintiffs to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Right. That's what they're asking.
All right, so what is the defense statement? What is the government saying in defense to that?
3 main things. First of all, they're questioning the authenticity of the documents that had been submitted to court as part of the evidence that these plaintiffs are taken to court. You would recall that there was this report of a joint task force of the U.S. Department of Justice, which, according to media reports, had claimed that these people were actually involved in terrorism, and it was on that basis that they were picked up. Now, this is part of the exhibits that the plaintiffs
Would that be the WikiLeaks document?
Exactly the case, those WikiLeaks documents. And it's part of the document that they've submitted to court. But government is claiming that these documents fall within the classic definition of hearsay evidence, and that the authors of the content are not present and therefore cannot be cross-examined. And so to bring this to court as evidence is without any basis. And so the government's document made the point that the factual and evidential basis of the plaintiff's action is exclusively on the said documents, which are from unknown or unofficial sources, and that they are urging the court not to admit this evidence into the case, and based on that, they want the whole case dismissed because it's founded on these documents, and the documents are not authentic.
Right. One other issue that has come up strongly is the fact that they're saying that the president acted unconstitutionally in his failure to obtain the requisite ratification from Parliament for this deal. And indeed, a number of people who spoke on the issue, including the Interior Minister at the time, stated that he wasn't aware, he wasn't privy to some of these discussions. What is government's reaction to
Well, the main concern has been about whether this should have gone to Parliament or not, and the claim is that once it didn't go to Parliament, then it's null and void. But government is insisting that Article 75 of the Constitution, which governs the execution by the President and ratification by Parliament of international treaties in the nature of treaties and conventions, and this does not cover every agreement that is actually reached with another state or a non-state actor, such as this particular agreement which has been reached with the United States of America government on this issue. Government is insisting that by not submitting the said agreement to Parliament, it doesn't breach any law. Government actually makes the point and explains the said agreement, goes on to make the point that though the plaintiffs have not exhibited the agreement referred to in their statement of case, government would want to admit that there exists an agreement between the two governments, which was reached by exchange of confidential diplomatic notes, otherwise known as note verbals. However, for the reasons that follow, they disagree that this note verbals, because it's a confidential and a diplomatic thing, the plaintiff's case that it should have gone to Parliament, government disagrees on that note, and that once it comes under this provision of it being a confidential document, a diplomatic transaction, it doesn't necessarily have to go to Parliament for any kind of ratification.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Joseph Opoku-Gabo, and he was bringing us the very latest on this court case where two persons are suing government over the arrival or the hosting or transfer of two ex-Guantanamo Bay detainees here in Ghana. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you international news. All right, good evening to you, Efwa.
Hello, Israel. How are you?
I'm fine.
Hope you enjoyed your weekend.
Yeah, it was restful. Quite restful.
Good.
What's going to be up in J&I?
Well, we'll be discussing this NDC-NCCE Mahindra truck saga that came up on social media and the news over the weekend. A lawyer says the BNI is acting with impunity following the arrest of his client, the MD of Marbles and Granites, Dr. Ani Ayo. A bride in the Western region fainted as her groom was whisked away by police for theft. How would you react if you were the lady in question?
I'll just die at that moment because I don't know what to do. Like, hey, wedding day. I think for me, I'll just go mad because I can't stand it.
If it was me, I'll do something more than I think I'll commit suicide because I can't just take this kind of embarrassment.
Wow. And a pastor claims to have pictures of heaven. So please make a date with me on the interactive segment within the next hour. Israel.
Well, it looks like a very, very interesting J&I, so you need to stay tuned for that. We also have sports and entertainment coming up in the second hour. Please stay tuned. And in business, we've been looking at the capability of the newly appointed central bank governor to restore market confidence and stabilize the Ghana cedi. An High Court adjourns to May 3 case in which an incumbent member of Parliament for Klote Kole is challenging the candidature of the elected aspirant, Dr. Senator Rollins. In other news, residents of Tema Community 3 are demanding that work on an ongoing project in the community be halted. According to the aggrieved residents, the location of the ongoing project, which is rumored to be a cement warehouse, is inappropriate due to its proximity to the Sakumono Lagoon Ramsar site. The residents have given the Tema Development Corporation and Tema Metropolitan Assembly a week to revoke the permits of Phase Gerald. Matilda Wambaga reports.
TMA/PIN/571/Community 3 is the only inscription on the gated wall. This inscription only proves that the project has been sanctioned and approved. The gated site covers a sizable space along the Tema-Sakumono Beach Road. According to the residents, the project's location is not an extension of the Tema Industrial Zone, but an extension of the Sakumono Lagoon Ramsar site, which does not permit such projects. The project, which started in November 2014, has raised many questions which remain unanswered by city authorities and developers. The residents are not only worried about the nuisance caused over the past 2 years, but wondered why such a project will be given permit by the Tema Metropolitan Assembly, Tema Development Corporation, as well as the Environmental Protection Agency, especially when the location is an extension of a wetland.
The total reason of it is that we don't want them here. They should be relocated.
Is the problem about giving you information and engaging the community, or you just don't know when the project to continue?
Now, the issue is that from the beginning they failed to consult. They failed to let us know exactly what is going on. Only tells us that if this is completed, we will not have our peace here. They've hidden the motive behind the project from us for all this while. So we don't even want to believe whatever they tell us now. Because if they have anything to tell us, they would have done that long before this thing began. Because I'm a planner by this thing. And I know that if you want to begin a project like this, the first thing to do is to contact the community. The second thing is that you put up your billboard indicating the nature of the project, who the clients are, who the consultants are, who are this. So everybody will know. If they find out that the place that the project is taking place is not conducive, they raise the alarm. But this they have failed to do. Why have they done that? It means there's something to hide. So we don't want to believe what they tell us now, because if they are anything to tell us, they would have done that before the commencement of the project. Right, you're welcome.
Residents say attempts to get city authorities to engage the community has proven futile, but insist things must be done properly.
We did our own checks at the Registrar General's Department, and we got the name of this thing as International Terminal Ghana Limited. So the name alone tells you that the nature of the project is of commercial, nature. We also did further checks, and we had two sides. One part said that they were going to use it for a cement factory. The other two said that they were going to use it for a container terminal, which we are not able to this, but we are still doing further checks to find out exactly which of the two is this thing. But either way, whether a cement factory or a container terminal, we think that it is not, appropriate. You see, we know that one of the requirements of EPA in granting permits is that you should have done some scoping. Scoping means that you should have engaged the community in whatever project that you wanted to do. That they haven't done. And as I said, there should have been a signpost to show that indeed this is the project. They haven't done any of those things.
Though the Tema Development Corporation admits to issuing permits for the project, they will, however, not make any comment when contacted by Joy News. In an off-record conversation with the senior program officer at the Tema Environmental Protection Agency, Hope Lumoti confirmed EPA has received a petition from the residents which is being looked on, but declined any further comments. Joy News will bring you more on this project as the story unfolds. Matilda Famaga for Joy News, Tema.
A senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Ransford Jampo, has reiterated that true democracy can only thrive in an environment where divergent views are tolerated. According to him, in the absence of this key factor, it is very likely that people's rights will be trampled upon. Dr. Jampo was speaking at a lecture on political tolerance organized by the Political Science Students Association of the University of Ghana.
According to Dr. Ransford Jampo, divergent views and disagreements are key features in politics and the only way to see true democracy thrive. He also stated that pluralism in politics implies that people within society can hold different opinions and yet live peacefully together. Dr. Jampo also emphasized that pluralism without tolerance breeds bitter strife, citing violence and bloodshed that have engulfed many societies around the world. He believes it is time to set aside personal feelings and deal with one another on national issues, focusing on the country's interest.
Much of the violence and bloodshed that have engulfed many societies around the world emanated from the inability or unwillingness of people from different religions, different political persuasions, or ethnic origins to be tolerant and accommodating of each. Indeed, you can tolerate without interacting, and this kind of tolerance may be jaundiced in its attempts to contribute towards our drive towards democratic maturity and consolidation.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon, Emmanuel Ejako, has appealed to the electorate to vote on issues and not ethnic affiliations in the November elections.
The biggest challenge that faces us as a nation is the use of ethnicity. In an attempt to hold on to power, all of us begin to play the ethnic card so badly. This one comes from us. This one is not from us. This one is not part of us. We all forget that there's a project called the Republic.
Dr. Jampo cautioned opposition parties to bear in mind that government is entitled to implement its policies whilst in office.
All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you entertainment. All right, that'll be all for the bulletin. Before we go to a quick round through our top stories, and the second Deputy Governor, Dr. Nasiru Isahaku, has been appointed as successor to the immediate past Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Kofi Wampa. One person has been confirmed dead in renewed clashes in the Upper East regional capital, Bolgatanga. And government has disclosed in court documents there was an agreement covering the transfer of 2 Guantanamo Bay detainees to Ghana, but maintains it did not require parliamentary approval. Right, and that'll be all for the bulletin. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Israel. On behalf of the team, I wish you a good night.